I used to think I was so weird. And I used to think people perceived me as being so weird. If you feel like you're weird or that people perceive you as weird, then this video is definitely for you, because I'm going to show you how your seeming weirdness is actually you being way more attuned to your true nature than you might have ever realized. Now, I'm going to film this video shaving my white pants, okay? So you might think that I'm a little crazy and a little weird. The first thing we have to remember is what our true nature really is, okay? When we're back home in the spirit world, communication happens telepathically. It's pure energy. There's no such thing as languages. There is a medium called Suzanne Giesemann, and once she was talking about this client that she had where she was going to channel the client's mother, and the client's mother spoke Portuguese. She was like, Suzanne, my mom doesn't speak English. Are we able to do this? And Suzanne was like, of course, girl. There's no such thing as languages at all. And so it's a total third dimensional thing. So when we're back home, communication is telepathic. There's no lying, there's no deceiving, there's no hiding anything. And so everything is direct, everything is pure, everything is connected, everything is transparent, and everything is natural. Now, when we as beautiful souls decide to come to Earth, here we come. And we incarnate in these physical bodies. And then to communicate with other beings, we use languages, we use verbal communication, one word after the other to compose a sentence, to create a meaning, right? For one, that's very slow, okay? And second of all, we're playing a game here. We're literally playing this game of communicating ideas that we want and hiding others that we don't want to communicate. And so things starts to become less than natural, right? And so when you feel like you don't fit in, and usually that's because you don't feel socially appropriate, which means you're socializing with other beings via this interface that is so not natural. But because we don't remember who we are, we just think that we don't fit in and that everything is weird and strange. But when you feel like that, and when you're genuine to your weirdness, that is only to show how attuned you are to your true nature. There's a man called Christian Sundberg, and he remembers his pre-birth planning. And I love his story. He has a book called A Walk in the Physical. It's amazing. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check that out. And sometimes he'll share this moment when he was around 4 or 5 years old, where he was among adults and someone asked him a question or something, and he was like, but can't they read my mind or what I'm thinking? And then he was having thoughts, and he realized that the people around him did not understand what was going on inside of him. And he was like, oh, that is a different game over here. And so he began forgetting all of these memories that he incarnated with. Okay, now Christian remembers the hospital room in which he was born. And he told his mom all about it. And she was like, yes, that's exactly the room we were in. And so when he had this experience, I guess he started to feel weird. And then he began blocking out all of those memories. And it got to a point where he forgot all about it. And then only later, when he was around 30 or something, he began meditating daily. All of the memories came back. I am someone who identifies with the neurodiverse spectrum. And people who identify as being on the neurodiverse spectrum, they usually feel weird, okay, in some way or another, especially when it comes to socializing. But then again, that is only because the game that is played over here is not natural. So there's a show called Love on the Spectrum. I don't know if you've seen it before. I love that show so much. There's a character, one of the people in that show, called Tanner, and he's the most adorable guy you will ever meet. And there's something he always says, which is, I am here to shine my light and bring happiness to the world. And he has a huge smile on his face. Now look at what he's saying. I am a beautiful light being who's here to shine the light upon other people and bring happiness to the world. There's this guy who's on the spectrum, who has a hard time, socializing and interacting with other people in this non-fundamental space, right, via the human interface, and yet he has it down. It's very clear for him. I am here to shine my light. I am here to bring happiness to the world. So beautiful. Now, it's also important to remember that all these experiences are planned before we're born. So the person who's skating through life and who has no difficulty socializing, they planned it. Maybe they're resting for or from another lifetime. So all is good. Someone who's on the spectrum also planned to have this experience for their soul's expansion, to help humanity grow and expand by being an example. You know what I mean? Isn't it interesting that a person like that, in a funny way, has more access to what's behind the veil than someone who, is skating through life? There's another medium called Stephanie Banks, and she became a medium because her mother got dementia, and she was trying to find a way to communicate with her mom. Now, if a loved one gets dementia, this is not something you celebrate, right? Because from the human perspective, it's kind of like a tragedy because you can't really talk to the loved one anymore, and that makes sense. But hear me out. What Stephanie discovered after she started channeling and talking to her mom and then channeling for other people, for her clients, she discovered that people who have dementia, they are having a great time because they don't have to deal with this unnatural setup that is this experience. And so they'll be here in body, in the physical world, probably smiling a lot of the time, but not really talking. And they're like talking to their guides, to other spirit beings, which is the natural way of communicating, right? And so if you think you're weird, or if you think people perceive you as being weird, that is only to show how more connected you are to fundamental truth than anything else. On the show Love on the Spectrum, there's another guy, another character called James. And James is one of the most fun people I have ever seen, okay? He's so fun. And there's this scene where he's with his parents in the kitchen, and he's about to go on a date, and his parents, especially his father, is prepping him for it. And he's giving him a bunch of tips. And he's saying stuff like, a happy wife equals a happy house or something like that. And James is like, oh, Dad, I don't resonate with, these old-fashioned beliefs, like he's literally talking about manifestation without even realizing it. And so I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my gosh, James, you're the most sane person in this room, okay? And it's just so beautiful. And so growing up was hard for me because social situations were always like demanding and they cost me emotionally and mentally. But then in my early adult life, I began drinking and I began having a ball. And it was the best. So I would go to all the parties. I was the last one to leave. And then years later, I realized I had a drinking problem. And I quit drinking in 2021, actually. And the year that followed after that, I was having a pre-awakening. I didn't know it then, but that's what was happening. And then a year later, I had my awakening, and then everything began to shift. And so if I hadn't quit drinking, I don't think I'd be here right now, filming this video. So yeah, drinking usually makes you less weird and allows you to interact via the human interface in a way that's more pleasant, I guess you could say. But it's also not natural, so it's not sustainable, right? And so being on the path for some years now, I definitely respect my energy more and more. I don't just go and socialize for no reason. So I cherry pick the events that I go to, and I pay attention to my energy, and I definitely don't feel weird anymore, because now I understand that weird is being totally asleep in the game, buying into the characters 100%, and navigating this world through the perspective of the ego and the ego only. So my friend, if you feel weird, please know that you are so attuned. And so it's a matter of owning that and doing the things that you feel called to, and not doing the things that you don't, because you don't have to. And so you're a beautiful, beautiful being of light who came here to shine your light the very way that you are. The world needs you. The world needs your light. The world needs your medicine. And the less we play the non-fundamental game thinking that we must fit in, the more people can see and feel your light. You are so beautiful. If this message resonates with you, I think you're gonna love the video I'm going to link right here, so you can go ahead and check that out right now.